Good morning, welcome to this beautiful morning on this beautiful park in this hopefully beautiful day. Today we're going to start with the basic landing and roll techniques for parkour. It's really not that difficult. It's a very good place to start. In fact, it's the first thing you should be learning before trying anything else, because what these will allow you to do is drops from any kind of height safely and without hurting yourself. And also vaults and things, if you goof them up. Roll especially is a very good way to catch yourself without hurting yourself or breaking anything. So let's jump right into it. First of all, you're going to want to start these on grass. Grass is a really great option, probably best to start there. If you don't have grass, molds like this works. You can use sand, it tends to get everywhere though. Do not start on concrete. We'll move on to concrete later. I'm going to start with the basic landing, and the way that this works, it's a very simple thing. So a lot like if you were to just jump off of a thing, and a lot like that. But there are some important things to remember as those heads get bigger, and you can use this up to a fairly decent height, but there does come a point where you want to switch to the roll, and we'll get to that next. For both of these landings, you're going to want to land with your feet about shoulders width apart. With this landing, what you're going to do is your legs are going to act as a spring. So as you're making contact with the ground, you're going to want to land firstly on the balls of your feet. Do not land on your heels. That can lead to some serious back problems after a while. So you're going to land on the balls of your feet, this part right behind your toe. And as you make contact with the ground, you're going to bend your knees slightly. You don't have to go all the way down, but you don't want to be going any farther than 90 degrees. This is your benchmark for a safe landing. If you go farther than this, it's really hard to recover from that, and you'll probably end up falling down, and you can still put a lot of pressure and tension on your knees and still cause yourself some kind of injury. You're going to make contact with the ground on the ball of your foot, bend to 90 degrees, and from here, you're going to use your toes and spring up again. Okay? So let me show you that in real time. Spring, it's like going halfway into a squat. If you feel your knees going past the 90-degree mark and you don't have space or don't want to go into a roll, what you can do is as you're coming down, use your arms and apply the same technique here. Bend your arms, but here probably no more than 45 degrees. If you go all the way to 90, there's a good chance you're smacking your face on the ground. So go to a good 45 degrees, and then same thing, push right back up. So almost as, imagine it as the ground is a person getting into your personal space. Back up, leave me alone, I don't want you right here, okay? So those are the first two things. Basic landing, bend your knees, just right there. If you need to go a little lower, same thing, but transfer the rebound, the push off, the spring off, to your arms. Okay? After you have your basic landing technique good and solid, then we're going to move on to the roll, and it's going to, you'll see that it kind of builds off of the basic landing, and the setup is basically the same. So this will be used for higher drops or drops where you just have too much forward or sideways momentum. That's another thing I should point out, is that these will be done forward, sideways, and backwards. You really should know all of them. So if you fall from a funny angle, you can catch yourself going any direction. First of all, you're going to pick a shoulder to roll over. It can be the right or left, it doesn't matter. But what you don't want to do when you get on the harder surfaces is roll straight across your spine, because then you're feeling the ground in every little bone in there. So what you're going to do, take whichever shoulder, personally I use my right, and you're going to basically trace a line from this shoulder to the opposite hip, making minimal contact with the spine. So we'll start with the front, and the way that this works is basically the same as the basic landing. Let's say you pick the right shoulder. If it's the left, just mirror this. You're going to put your hands together in a diamond, and as you're coming down, you're going to move your hands to the opposite foot. What this is going to do is it's going to pull this shoulder down and just naturally tuck it in. Get a really nice rounded shape. You don't want your shoulders sticking out weird, because you're going to roll over your shoulder blade and it's going to hurt. So once you get that tucked, then you're just going to take your chin, tuck it against your chest, right behind that shoulder, drop your elbow down to the ground, let yourself fall forward, and roll. Okay? One more time, I'll do it this way. So, same thing. Just as you're coming down, drop your hands to the opposite foot, tuck your shoulder, tuck your chin, drop your elbow, roll. And it's really not a bad idea to practice this on both sides. And you'll notice that with that roll, you do go off to the side a little bit. So take that into consideration when you're actually doing your landing. So a lot of times, if I need to be going straight forward and I'm rolling over my right shoulder, I won't initially land with my feet exactly straight like this. I'll land with my feet at an angle, almost like as if you were riding a skateboard. I'll land with my feet slightly aligned there. So then when I go into the roll, I'm already positioned in the direction that I want to go. And this can work any direction. So same thing, if I were to go this way, if I wanted to go this way, and this is where it becomes a good idea to practice it the other way, because if you want to go this way, then maybe it's not going to work for you to turn all the way around and roll. Maybe it would work better, and you could still do it over the same shoulder, but it would work better, boom, and do it that way. But it may just be easier to go over the left shoulder. Next thing is going to be a sideways roll, and this one is very, very similar. You're not going to worry about the positioning of the hands quite as much on this one. So we'll start with my right, and basically it's going to be the same thing. You bring your knees down, and you can do one or both hands on the ground. Starting off is probably a good idea to do both, and then same thing. This elbow, you're going to drop it to the ground, or you can even pick this hand up and tuck it under. Make sure you're tucking your chin and your shoulder. So as you're coming down, hands, tuck, roll. And then mirror it, do the same thing on the other side. You want to make sure you have all of these really down before you try anything crazy. So, bend the knees, hands down. Alright, so once you got those all down, that's pretty good. Now you got forward, backward, this whole 180-degree radius, you can safely roll in any of those directions. That's great. Maybe slightly behind you too. But, what if you're falling backwards? What if you're a little top heavy on your fall, and you end up at a weird angle like this? What do? A side roll isn't going to help you. A front roll definitely won't. So what do you need to do? You need a back roll. The way this is going to work is we're going to utilize some of that backwards momentum that you already have, as we do with all of these. So as you're coming down, you're going to put your hands on the ground as if you were doing a crab walk. Do not stay here though. You'll notice that if you just drop into this, you're going to feel a lot of shock going into your arms. At a higher drop, that's not going to feel very good. So what you're going to do is the same thing. Your arms are going to become the main spring on this one. You'll want to absorb with your legs. As you're coming down, let your back momentum carry you over. Absorb with your hands. Let your rear end touch the ground at this point. And then you're going to push off with your feet. Pick a shoulder again and roll over. Okay? One more time. Down. Hands. Let yourself down. Pick the shoulder. Roll over. And when you get to the roll over part, you can put your hands on either side of your head as you're rolling back and use them to spring yourself back up onto your feet a little bit. So once you feel like you've got all of those down, then I want you to move them to concrete. And the reason why is because with a much harder surface like that, if you have anything sticking out, like your shoulder blade is sticking out, or you're rolling over a vertebrae weird, you may not notice on grass or sand or mulch. But as soon as you go to concrete, do it slowly, but as soon as you go to concrete, you will notice everything that you were rolling over and where the flaws in your technique are. So make sure you iron all of those out. You want your back to be as round and smooth as possible. You want this to be a very comfortable move. Because if you do it with a lot of momentum and something's not right, it's going to hurt. Probably won't be a serious injury, but it will be very, very painful, and it's just not fun. Once you have all of those down, then we're going to move on to the next step. you're going to find a small height. Something like this works. This one works great. Or if you don't have a slide sitting around, a bench works wonderfully, but I'm using the bench to set the camera on right now. So all you're going to do is you're going to stand on this, and even if your balance isn't great, that's fine. You can just do it from a sitting position here. What we're going to do from here is we're going to time the roll with the landing, so we don't go smack, absorb all the energy, and possibly hurt ourselves, and then roll. What we're going to do is time it, make sure we get the timing down, and make sure you do this for the basic landing too. Make sure you get the timing down, and you want to time it in a way that this is actually doing something, it's actually useful. So you're going to just time it to where it would do that. And if you don't want to go to this to start with, then you can just jump and practice that, and get that feeling as comfortably as you can. Get that feeling as comfortable as you can. You shouldn't be feeling much of any impact if you're doing this right. So, once you feel like you're happy with the jump, then you're just going to move on to something a little taller. Jump off of that. Boom. Make sure you're practicing with the basic landing and with the roll. This is mostly about timing. Getting in your muscle memory from the points of, this is the point of impact, and this is the point where you should roll. Oftentimes when you really need this, it needs to be without thinking about it. So, just make sure that you get that to a point where you're comfortable, and you can comfortably land this every time. Every time. Once you got that, if you're feeling brave, go up a little higher. Do the same thing. Get practice with the roll. So yeah, that's basically it. Just practice all that until it feels comfortable. Make sure you try it on different heights. Take it up gradually. Don't go to something big right off the bat. But take it up gradually, and just make sure you're comfortable with everything you're doing. If you're not comfortable with the jump, don't try it, please. Please don't try it. Because that is the number one way you're going to get yourself hurt. If you're not completely comfortable doing something. If you're trying something that maybe you're not sure, but you still want to do it, get a pad, get something soft to land on. Make sure you're not going to hurt yourself. You need to be absolutely 100% sure of your safety at all times. That's the most important thing. Practicing all this may not look that exciting or impressive to start out with. Keep it up, keep raising it gradually as you are comfortable with, and eventually you'll get to something like this without even thinking about it. And there you go. Basic landings and safety rules. Best place to start is just to go outside, find a good patch of grass, and practice. That's all there really is to it. Just make sure you're comfortable in everything you're doing.